Welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Thursday, July 24th, 2014. There's a well-known superstition that bad things happen in threes. If you subscribe to that, then you're being validated today. 10 days or so ago, we had the shoot down of the Malaysian Airlines Flight 17 over the Ukraine. Yesterday, shortly after we went off the air, a Trans-Asia AT-72 Antonov turboprop crashed on an island off Taiwan. We'll get to that story, landing in a heavy storm. And then just before we came on the air, an Air Algeria plane that had taken off from Burkina Faso in West Africa, heading to Algeria, disappeared from the radar screens. The Air Algeria plane was an MD-83, a variant of the McDonnell Douglas MD-80, a twin-engine jet with the engines mounted in the tail. Navigation sources lost track of the plane about 50 minutes after takeoff from Burkina Faso. The plane was operated by Air Algeria on a lease from Swift Air. Swift Air is a private Spanish airline. There were 115 people on board the plane. There's been no word whatsoever of any indication as to what might have happened to the plane. However, the destination of the plane and the route it would have taken takes it right over northern Mali, where there is currently an insurrection going on with rebels armed with weapons, unknown whether or not any of those weapons are surface-to-air missiles that could reach the plane. The insurance ramifications are already coming in. They would only be liable for a $4 million hull claim if the plane's loss results in a total loss. Spanish company Swift Air has confirmed that it owns the $4 million hull. Insurers would take the loss depending on whether the plane was loaned on a wet lease or a dry lease. A wet lease would include insurance, which would mean that Swift Air's insurers would pick up the tab for any hull loss. Insurance Insider is reporting that Aspen leads the aviation policy for Swift Air, and it's reporting as well that XL Insurance is leading the liability policy for passengers. Meanwhile, on the crash of that AT-72 plane off of Taiwan yesterday, it seems that the aviation policy for Trans-Asia Airways is in fact led by AIG. The policy was broke by JLT brokers. Senior aviation sources are suggesting that the hull loss could be between $20 and $30 million. Apparently, about 47 people died in the plane, which crashed into a residential area while trying to land during a tropical storm. The plane was en route to Magong Airport on one of the small islands that comprise the Penghu Islands after flying from mainland Taiwan. The Federal Aviation Administration this morning lifted its ban on American flights to Israel, which it had imposed out of concern over the risk of planes being hit by rockets fired by Hamas. 2 hours after the agency made its decision, 2 rockets hit near the airport. No word as to whether or not the agency is going to reverse the decision. Some earnings reports are coming in for the second quarter. Here's an interesting contrast. Allied World Assurance Company has reported a broadly flat top line for the second quarter that included strong growth in U.S. and international insurance. It was offset by a decrease in its reinsurance business. Allied World cut its reinsurance business by about 19% because of inadequate premium pricing. They didn't sell as much. Meanwhile, on the other side of the coin, Everest Re has increased its reinsurance sales by 16%. They have seen an overall gross premium increase in its capital base of 12% total. Aspen Insurance Holdings, which is currently involved in the takeover attempt with John Charman's Endurance Specialty Company in Bermuda, posted second quarter numbers, and they really did very well. They're on target to match or exceed its 10% operating return target on return on equity for 2014, and they saw their operating profits per share for the quarter more than double, from 63 cents in the same quarter of 2013 to $1.40 in the second quarter of this year. Gross written premiums were up 13.5% to about $780 million. You can be sure that this will be factored in any future discussion, or I should say insult lobbing back and forth between Endurance and Aspen. Lancashire Holdings published its second quarter results today, and they revealed a fall in profits year on year and a drop in earnings per share. Figures for the 6 months ending on the 30th of June 2014 showed profit before tax at about $99 million. compared to the same period last year when it was $137 million. The group's new CEO, Alex Maloney, wrote openly about the continued pressure on pricing affecting his business and the industry as a whole. Also, the chief financial officer of the company pointed to former CEO Richard Brindle's retirement package as being a possible cause as well for the loss. Brindle's retirement package is about equal to 2.4% on reduced return on equity for the second half of 2014 and 6.4% for the year to date. That's very interesting because subsequently another story immediately surfaced saying that Richard Brindle is getting ready to completely sell all of his shares in Lancashire, and in fact may have already done so, and will be free to return to the market as soon as this coming January. Mr. Brindle is believed to have held enough shares to have produced, combined with the deferred compensation that he received, to produce some $96 million US. Lancashire employees are saying that they do understand that Mr. Brindle will be back in the public domain and he'll probably come up with something. Good luck to him. Richard does what Richard does. However, they said that I don't think there's anyone here who's losing any sleep about the idea of having to compete with Richard. Rumors have already surfaced in London back in April that Brindle was working on a startup company already. Very interesting. Mr. Brindle is well known, among other things, for having 2 large dogs that he transports back and forth from London to Bermuda and brings to meetings with them. I've actually met them. I have not met him. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.